And yeah, so I think the reason why this is hard for us, the reason why it's so much easier to recognize shitty things is society has us operating neck up, right? We're in our brains all the time. So you can probably imagine maybe if you work in front of a computer, you're working at the computer, and then before you know it, it's past dinner time or lunchtime. And you're like, what happened with those 3 or 4 hours? Where was I? Right? That's also possible in a good way. But in this way that I'm explaining it, you've kind of left your body and you're not fully present in that moment because you're operating neck up, chest up, right? And that leads also to controlled perfectionism. The things you do are what equals success. And so I fully believe all of us are good at knocking things off our to-do lists, but your body might not agree that that's what success is. And so when we're in this ghost state, we're disembodied. We ignore our body's intelligence. We only think about what our brain is telling us. So when your toe hurts or your leg hurts, I threw my back out yesterday, so I should be listening to myself here. But I need to listen to my body and rest, right? But there are kind of two ways I think of the flow state. Part of it is also like the feminine essence, right? Men and women and whoever you are, you have to have this essence as part of your life too. It's the art of receiving. And so this ability to recognize beauty all around us, listening to what our body is saying, sending attention to that part of the body, and operating in what I call waves versus bursts. Because when you're in burst mode, you can say, okay, I'm going to go hard all day at this one task, get it done, and then tomorrow I relax. But what does it look like to microdose joy and pleasure in the midst of doing the hard stuff? So I want us to think about that being one definition of the flow state. The next one is an action-related flow state. So there's actually a theory called flow theory, and it is a combination of a challenging something that interests you, and a skill that you're trying to use. And that's the good kind of flow state where, for me, I'm a painter. I can say 5 hours passed and I painted something and I'm like, wow, how did that happen? I was so into it, right? That's the good kind. And so in this graph, you'll see that when you have your skill level is increasing, but it's also just challenging enough, that's when you get to your flow state. And some of the components of flow state are written here. But essentially, you are so absorbed in the activity itself that you kind of lose yourself. And I know Miss Tawana here, her lab, her kitchen is where she does this as a chef. So we all have different things. And it doesn't mean, like for me, that I'm spending every day painting. But I do spend 5 minutes of my day putting on makeup, and I get that same feeling, a little jolt of that same feeling. So how can we integrate some of these bigger things that we know put us in flow? How do we integrate them every day? So I want you to think about what is something that puts you in a flow state and write that down. And we can share as we go around as well.
I would say definitely putting on lipstick. You talk about makeup, lipstick is my joy. Like it fixes all moods and it fixes all problems in my mind. So doing my hair or like sketching also like new thing. When I did take sabbatical last couple months, I learned the art of like just sitting and painting, like, like um specific like those like what it's called it's like what are those things called? They're different mandolins. Are they called not what is
Mandalas?
mandalas? Exactly. Those are that kind of puts me in a flow state for sure. Makeup and mandalas.
Nice. That should be an event.
Yes.
Anyone else want to volunteer?
Mine is cooking and baking, scrapbooking, making cards, and seriously, a fresh haircut.
Nice.
Fresh haircut. I love haircuts too.
Well, mine is decorating.
Ooh. Is
Yeah.
it a home decoration or what kind of decoration?
Home, in the house. I like to do projects, work on projects decorating the home. So right now I'm trying to work on redoing the fireplace. That's what I find joy in. And then also I like to dress up and go out. So that's where I get my flow state.
I love it. That's my co-sense. I like dressing up too. I love that example.
All right. Anyone else want to share? No, we can move on to the next one. All right. So yeah, think of that thing that puts you in a flow state and think about how you can kind of get that feeling in a lower effort, like day-to-day way. Because what we're really trying to practice is getting to microdosing these elements day to day. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is the vagus nerve. It runs all the way from the top to the bottom of the body. It's the longest nerve. And it is actually helpful for regulating that fight or flight response and getting us into the parasympathetic nervous system. And I want us to try a couple of things that are going to help improve vagal tone, right? So if you feel the back of your neck